So, today I am the host of Scale Your Mastery podcast. My name is Tracy D. Malone, and I proudly welcome Dr. Lara Barbir today. She's a clinical psychologist, and Laura's mastery started developing in her early stages, and it continues to unfold. She's passionate about sleep health, women's health, and depression rooted in trauma. And one thing you should know about Laura, Dr. Laura, is she doesn't believe in coincidences. And after hearing her story, you probably won't either. So within minutes of our initial conversation, it was clear that I was speaking with someone whose passion was aligned with their purpose. And once you hear her story unfold, I'm sure you're going to agree. Laura said, I don't believe in coincidences, and her journey to mastery fits together like a perfect puzzle. So it's no wonder she doesn't believe in coincidences. I believe we're living in a time of great uncertainty, and many are in transition and searching for the right path. Now, as you listen to her story unfold, you may find a hidden treasure that helps you embrace your journey or take the next right step. We're hoping our discussion will create inner dialogue that helps you light up your path so you can experience more joy and fulfillment along your journey. Hello, once again, welcome to Scale Your Mastery podcast. My name is Tracy D. Malone and I'm the host. So, first question today is what is mastery? Well, I define mastery as the ability to do a physical or mental activity at a high level while allowing your true personality to shine through. Now, I truly believe the world would be a better place if more people discovered their mastery and operated in it at a high level. I truly believe that. So I'm hoping that our conversation today will open up new ideas for those who still need to discover what their mastery is and how to put it to its highest and best use. Now, if you're joining us live or watching the replay, I want to thank you. Keep in mind that this is an interactive conversation, right? So I encourage you to respond to the questions down in the comments. And audience, here's your first question so that we get you engaged. Are you working in your purpose, passion, or both? That's the question. So Dr. Laura, she has, like I said before, her path to discovering mastery fits together like a perfect puzzle. I mean, I don't know if she could have planned it any better if she tried. So I believe also that purpose is greater than passion, right? And some people, like Dr. Laura, are fortunate enough to have discovered both, right? So, Dr. Laura, let's get into our conversation. Once again, thank you for being here and being open to sharing about your journey. As a doctor of psychology, here's my first question. As a doctor of psychology, are you working in your purpose, your passion, or both? Tell us about that initial spark that got you started.
Thank you so much for having me, first of all, Tracy, and for your amazing questions and your amazing presence.
Thank you.
I would start by saying I am working in my purpose and my passion. My purpose is fueled actually by my passion, so I'm hoping that others watching this will be inspired to live true to their hearts, like I have done. Less of a planner, more of an intuitive kind of person. Although life has definitely led me to integrate both and be a bit more balanced. It's a constant balancing act. To be frank, though, um, the initial spark, I think I'm going to go into this in your subsequent questions as well. But I will start by saying that I had no idea I was going to become a psychologist when I left high school and went to college. I had played classical piano from the age of 8, and I was also involved in dancing and choir and the arts, and thought that I was going to be majoring in music when I entered college. But then I just kind of instinctively signed up for my first ever psychology course. and it was a social psychology course, and just very much to my surprise fell in love and decided to keep signing up for other psychology classes so that, one thing led to another. And it was just kind of a sequence of events that unfolded kind of, I like to say, magically.
Wow, that is incredible. I mean, for the longest time you were thinking that it was this one path, and then something sparked, right? You just, I mean, you don't believe in coincidences, but you ended up at this event, and then one thing kept leading to the next thing. That's incredible.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now, I want to ask the audience the question. Have you ever taken an unexpected turn in your career or personal life, and what did you learn from it? So, Dr. Laura, take us back to that moment when you said you followed your intuition. I hear this a lot from people who have discovered what their mastery is and have moved in that direction, right? You were talking about that intuition, and tell us how that played a role to get to that next step. Like you deciding at that moment that this is the new thing, like no longer music, totally onto this.
Yeah. People might differ in what they think about the word intuition or that gut feeling. A lot of people commonly associate a gut feeling with like a negative thing, but my experiences have been quite the opposite. Usually when I get a little gut or intuitive feeling, it's more of a yes feeling, like a like this feels right or good. It can't really be described in words, which is kind of a good thing, especially if you're an overthinker. So when I took the first psychology course, my first semester of college at the University of Virginia, it was a social psychology course. And I remember falling in love with this nonconformity experiment we were required to do, where I chose a partner in class and we decided to. Our non-conforming experiment was to go to the gym, and we dressed up in formal wear, which is of course very non-conforming, and worked out and just kind of continued in that regard. It's just one of the standout moments. But yeah, I would say the intuitive part was there wasn't really a like thinking too hard about uh well planning the entire future, and instead just trying to be present, and so that you can pay attention to what feels good or right or gives you kind of an aha feeling. And I followed that, signed up for other psychology classes, started to work in a research lab with a professor that I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
She taught the personality psych class, and she gave me great opportunities to learn how to use a particular approach called motivational interviewing, which was really a really cool opportunity to be a part of. And she kind of helped and served as a mentor to me, that then also led me to join a young women leaders program, which was a mentoring program for seventh and eighth grade girls who were deemed at risk in the community in Charlottesville, Virginia. And that program was led by a couple of clinical psychologists, and I loved that program. I loved giving back to the community and helping people, and being a mentor to other people and facilitating groups as well, which I ultimately ended up doing. And all of that just felt in alignment, I guess, with my soul, with my being. It,
Mm.
it felt true to my heart. And knowing it was led by a clinical psychologist, and that my mentor in the research lab was a clinical psychologist, I was like, yeah, this kind of fits. I guess I'm gonna be a clinical psychologist, knowing that, I wanted to be successful, and that in order to be successful in psychology, especially pursuing your doctorate, is going to set you up the most.
Mm.
And so maybe thankfully in my 18 or
Mhm.
19-year-old impulsive brain, I was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna become a psychologist," and had no idea, how many hoops that actually required, until later, and then I learned, oh, the ultimate test to becoming a psychologist is, can you handle your own stress?
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, so
Wow. That is so incredible. So I really like the part about how you said you didn't try to figure out the next several steps. I love how you allowed your intuition to guide you to the very next step. And it just so turned out that all of your very next steps were the right ones. Seems to be that they were the right ones. So that's pretty
yeah,
incredible. So
yeah,
then you probably with the process that you've been through to get to where you are today, you probably agree that mastery itself is not just this journey, right? It's not. It is a journey in that it's not a destination. Like it's not. It's like an ever going process. Moving forward. Because from what you described so far, it's been like one step after the other. It's that constant movement forward, right?
absolutely. Taking action for sure, being willing to explore, and I think to be a true master, you have to have that open mindset to continuous learning and taking risks.
That's really great. So tell us about, because again, these related events seem like they just kept happening in your life, right? Which is so cool. Tell us about an earlier time when your instincts took over and just guided you to your next step in your journey. Um, Tell us about a time where that happened.
When my instincts took over.
Yeah, I think you were saying once before that after you did the event that involved the youth that allowed you to work with these mentors, there was another step right after that that came up, right? These events, they just kept showing up for you.
They did. Yeah, I had opportunities to move further along to advance within the Young Women Leaders program to, start as being a mentor and then become a more of a group leader or group facilitator. So there were opportunities to move along there. And there were opportunities within my research lab that was separate, but of course connected because both were led by clinical psychologists. And I was encouraged by my research lab uh, principal investigator, Jenny, to pursue graduate school. And she had recommended programs that were in Virginia because she knew of a psychologist. And then she also had recommended, or I had been interested in moving back to the West Coast because I
Mm-hmm.
had lived in Southern California, where I am now, for a semester. I called it my semester abroad and was hoping to get back out there. So I had actually started to apply to graduate schools and was planning to go to the graduate school in San Diego. But then when I graduated from college, the month after, unfortunately, my mom was diagnosed and shared of her diagnosis with cancer. So that led me to postpone moving out to the West Coast and staying on the East Coast. And I ended up then joining the program that Jenny had recommended. And right, everything things don't necessarily go according to plan, but
Mm-hmm.
when things happen, you adjust accordingly. You make the necessary connections, and it was in that program that I continued to excel in learning a motivational interviewing approach, which I had learned in the research lab with Jenny. And I was also first introduced to mindfulness with another professor and mentor, and that has been monumental in my own personal growth, and was especially needed at that time where I was reacting to learning of my mom's stage 4
Mm.
throat cancer. Um, and that I have no regrets with that decision, but I definitely followed my heart, right? I have a passion for psychology, but also love my mother and want to be near and dear
Mm-hmm.
to her and to my family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I elected to stay closer and have no regrets about that. It created more opportunities, and I was selected as one of the only, or the only, graduate assistant in my graduate program. So that created more opportunities that then led to pursuing my doctorate, because that was a master's program. So then I went to the doctorate after that. So things kind of just unfolded there and set me up pretty well.
Oh, that's great. Now, I was just getting some feedback. We're going to pick that up in just a second. I was just getting some feedback from one of the guests viewing, and she said that the sound is off for you. So, hmm, let's see. I'm not sure what's happening there. Huh. Um, hmm. Boy, I tell you, this technology. I'm
Oh,
really,
bummer.
really, because I can hear you on my side. I'm wondering, huh, I don't know. It's really strange. I wish I knew
Mm,
what was going on. I don't have a way to figure out what that is. Yeah, I don't know. Darn. Um so if you're listening on YouTube right now, I apologize for the technical difficulties. What I will do is I will upload our conversation. Once this is done, I will go ahead and upload our conversation from the video that I'm recording on my screen, and you will be able to hear and see both of us on screen. I apologize for that. So here I am learning in public, and this is one of the things that happens. So thank you for being here. Apologize again for the technical difficulties. And yeah, but make sure you come back to the channel after this recording is done. I will upload it. There won't be any editing. This is coming to you live. I really like that approach of coming live as opposed to doing a lot of doctored up videos. So this is what happens when you live stream. Sometimes you don't get all of the technical glitches just right. But our makeshift solution here is being able to work around. So that's what we're doing here. Let's see. Did something happen on my phone where, okay, a lot of technical difficulties here. But again, we've got the replay that will be coming to you. I will upload it as soon as, let's see. So yeah, with that, there was a phone call coming in on my cell phone, and I just lost my live stream on my phone that was pointed at the at the screen, Laura.
oh
Wow.
no.
Wow. It's okay. We'll keep going.
Yes.
Okay,
Or
we're
we
back.
can.
We're back now. Like I've got you back on my camera on my phone. Okay, so now, okay, you were just describing. Well, first of all, I wanted to make sure we introduce your furry business partner.
Oh, yes. Soko has come to the rescue to provide a little entertainment. This is my little super senior. She is now 15 and a half years old. Her sister
Wow.
passed away at the beginning of the pandemic, so it's just me and her, but she I and my and her uh, deceased sister Momo, I owe credit to. They actually sat with me for the majority of the period during which I wrote my research dissertation in order to obtain my doctorate. So
Wow.
I have them to thank very much for helping me stay connected to my heart as I mastered the challenge of writing a 200-page dissertation and the whole journey of completing the research there. Yeah, so the whole doctorate process is definitely a journey. Once I think maybe what we were talking about last week, Tracy, that now I'm realizing is what your question is connected to, is when I ended up out of finally accruing my postdoctoral experience to become licensed by 2018. I took my first job back at the Veterans Hospital, where in Long Beach, California, where I had been matched for my internship. So, fast forward, mom battled cancer for 6 years. It was the year I
Wow.
finally moved out here. Was like, okay, here's my chance. That she ended up passing away. So that was just over 7 years ago now.
Mm.
And I ended up taking my first job out of postdoc at the Long Beach VA where I'd been an intern, and then I ended up moving back down to San Diego where I'd completed my postdoc to take a job at the VA hospital there, thinking that that was going to be a really good fit for me. And where the kind of journey came together that's helped with my kind of next unfolding projects are I was able to get trained in two particular therapy approaches, one called interpersonal therapy, another called eye movement desensitization reprocessing, or EMDR, which is largely what my book that I'm writing is about. The year 2022 is when I moved back down to San Diego and ended up getting the training. And in IPT specifically, my lucky duck of a self got to be trained by the founder of this approach. His name's Scott Stewart, and I even more luckily got to be assigned to his consultation group. So got a very small group consultation and attention from him to help me develop in this particular approach. And yes, I feel very lucky, and like things aligned. The job didn't end up being what I thought it was going to be. It ended up not being the right fit for me, but I still felt like it was meant to happen because of the training in IPT and
Mm.
EMDR that I got that year. And it gave me the experiences that I needed in order to um, then prepare for the next step, which was, I started my private practice part time at the beginning of that year as well, and then ended up branching to full time by the end of 2022. As well as with this newfound knowledge in IPT and EMDR, and then starting to integrate that with my clients, and then branch out into the private practice world, which I know we had also talked about how that kind of magically unfolded with creating networking opportunities, and then being able to um, magically get the invitation to publish a book.
That is so incredible. So, we're going to unpack that a little bit later about the book. But I want to go back
Okay.
to the point that you mentioned before about how, let's just call it, you refer to it as intuition. Let's stick with that. I think people are familiar with the word, maybe have different definitions of it. But I want to go back to how you said you didn't really question, like you had this healthy relationship with your intuition, right? And you were trusting it, and it had really been a friend to you at that point in your life. So for the audience, I want to ask them, has intuition played a role in your own journey, and what steps can you take to align your actions with your inner voice? So, Dr. Laura, you did a great job at every step of aligning your inner voice with the next step for you. Can you talk to those people who maybe they're feeling a little bit out of touch with their inner voice, with their gut, with their intuition? Can you speak a little bit to them right now? Some words of encouragement.
Yes. Um, Sometimes the way I like to connect to that essence of who I am is to remember who I've always been, starting with the innocent, pure, unconditional love version of me that was just a child and a child who had just pretty pure and innocent dreams and aspirations. I think on the less than practical side, as a little girl, I wanted to be a singer with my big sister, and on the more practical side, I wanted to be a teacher. I loved Little Mermaid. I loved Cookie Monster, right? And I loved my big sister, and I loved playing Barbies with my big sister, and was very sad when the time came that she was too old to play Barbies with me and had to just, play by myself or with my friends. So I think remembering who you are at heart and what sets your soul on fire, pay attention to where you feel connected, for lack of a better word, where you just feel a sense of connectedness. For a lot of people, going out, and why you see my background filled with nature, being out in nature can help you be connected to yourself, get out of your head and into your senses, because being connected actually doesn't come from spending too much time in your head. It's really more so about being present, in the present moment, which is very hard for us to do, especially since society rewards us for being in our heads and being able to multitask and do a bunch of things at once. So get back to who you are at heart. Let nature help you. Let your support system also help you. That also speaks to your heart and your essence. Yeah, and most of all, trust yourself. I think that intuition comes, when you're not looking for it, not trying to control anything. It just kind of unfolds or happens without you trying to control things.
That's really good. Like, the control that we have is over ourselves and whether or not we participate, right? We can't control the outcome. We can control how we respond to what's happening.
Exactly. We can take action. And I yeah, and ideally act in alignment with who we are, and what our mission and intentions are, of who we're striving to be in this world, and trying to let go of control, so that you can be present for and grateful for your journey, and the full range of experiences that it brings, which includes pain.
Mm, that's very important. Pain is part of the process. I can't think of anyone who has developed mastery or lived this earth without pain.
Hmm.
It's part of the
Yeah.
process.
Yes, as a psychologist, and I also, another passion of mine is fitness for physical and mental health. So, as a psychologist and a group fitness instructor, there is literally no pain. No, yeah, no pain, no gain, right?
Mm,
Growth comes when you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, but you don't have to fully flood yourself. You can do that in ways that are deemed reasonable to you, and set your own pace with that. But of course, yeah, taking risks, of course, does involve some fear, anxiety, uncertainty, and it can also involve a sense of freedom and excitement, of the unknown, and challenge you to be trusting, of yourself,
mm,
of your higher power, if
mm-hmm,
you have one, of your journey.
mm-hmm. I love that. I love that you included that trust of the journey is important, right? Because I think that's the part that trips a lot of people up is that we don't trust in the journey, right? First,
Yeah.
probably because we can't see it, like we may see a piece in front of us, but we can't see what's behind that piece and what's behind that other piece, right? So I think for a lot of us, we've got to learn to trust without being able to see the journey all the way to the end, right? We've just got to trust that next step. That's what's most important. Because in your situation, had you not taken that next step, the step after that would not have been available.
Yes, absolutely. And as you're talking, I think there's also one very important point, which not only trusting your journey, but also being very intentional about your actions. And there are many different ways to say this, but I'll try to keep it simple. The best way to act is from a place of love and trust, and making sure that, what's your why are you doing something, and that goes back to your purpose and being connected to your heart. Yeah, from my own journey with various types of goals that I've set, I've noticed that I'm not always connected to my heart, and it's when I'm not connected to my heart, and my actions are unconsciously coming from a place of fear, of related to unresolved trauma, and hence, yeah, here I am, talking a trauma therapist. Um, that is where we, I think, create suffering, unnecessary suffering, and it makes it harder to let go of that control and trust the journey.
That is so good. That's a really great insight right there for someone who may be struggling with trusting the journey and trusting that um, they can make the right next decision. That's really key.
Hmm.
I love how you
Is
said
our
the I love how you said the heart is connected to that process. And if it's not connected, really there are some consequences. I love how you pointed that
Yes.
out.
And it's part of being human, right? We all have wounds. And yeah, some people use the language connect to your spirit or your heart versus your ego or fear or mistrust. And we all have both. We can't not have both. So we're not expected to be perfect, but the journey itself can turn into a very meaningful one of self-discovery and self-improvement and self-growth by really understanding yourself. And as you're pursuing meaningful dreams and goals, what are the mental, psychological, emotional, spiritual blocks that accompany you on that journey,
Hmm.
and how can you overcome them?
That's good. I really believe in the fact that if you lean into your mastery, you have the opportunity, I believe, for greater fulfillment in your life. I really think that that one ingredient right there is priceless. Like if you can have life at the same time, add meaningfulness to life, that's priceless. So I want to just take a quick another introduction here for the audience. If you're watching this, if you're joining us live, there are technical difficulties. So bear with me as I do this in public, learn how to do this in public. And then also, if you're watching the replay, thank you for watching. And this will be uploaded to YouTube as soon as we finish our session. And so I want to get the audience engaged again. So I want to ask a question for the audience. Has your intuition played a role in your own journey? And what steps can you take to align your actions with your inner voice? So, Dr. Laura just gave us some beautiful examples of her journey and how she's been able to incorporate her inner voice into her journey and how it led from one step to the next, to the next, to the next. So I really think it's important too, like to give them another example, Dr. Laura, of how this has happened for you. So let's talk about how you ended up on the Scale Your Mastery podcast. Tell them that story.
Definitely. So it was a Saturday morning not too long ago, and mind you, I never go on LinkedIn on the weekends. It just doesn't really happen. And I was happened to be on my laptop because I decided to attend this online event that was put on by a shaman, and he was drumming, making some drumming music, and something in me told me to sign onto LinkedIn, where I had recently made an alert requesting speaking jobs because I wanted to increase my visibility this year to help promote the book with New Harbinger publications. And lo and behold, I signed on, and the alert I got about speaker jobs was the Speaker Mastery podcast. Within minutes, I think I'm one of the first, if not the first applicant. I was like, oh, okay. And it gets weirder. As I was reading about the Scale Your Mastery podcast, the drummer was talking and he said the word mastery out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, wow, this gotta be kidding me. It's not a coincidence at all. That's, I think, a true example of alignment and what, let's see, Carl Jung refers to as meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. That was for sure a synchronicity. So I immediately, just applied as soon as I could, and then I let it go and went back to attending the event. There's not much I could do other than
Mhm.
just put myself out there, and then heard from Tracy within a day or two.
Wow, that I tell you, you like you said, no such thing as a coincidence, because the way this is lining up for you is like it's like a perfect puzzle. It's like you said, it's magical, right?
It's
Wow.
magical. Yeah, I think when you're connected to your heart and your truth, the things, of course, you do have to take action. You can't just sit there. Things won't just come to you.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, when you are acting in alignment with your heart and your intentions are pure, and my intentions are to increase my visibility so that I can help others. Right, going back to my inner
Hmm.
child who wants to make a big difference.
Hmm.
I do make a difference one on one with the clients I work with, and I love that. And now I'm, making a bigger difference with writing the book, and now increasing other ways of public speaking to help promote this book. And yeah, my intentions and my purpose is to both to learn as well as to teach and to serve, to help others.
That's really great. Now, one of the things too is you've been able to show up at the right place at the right time again, again, and again. So, one of the things I'd like for you to tell us about is you have this knack for networking and you have this knack for being right there where you're supposed to be at the right place at the right time. Tell us about how that played a role into a book deal landing in your lap.
Right. So earlier I had mentioned that toward the end of 2022 is when I ended up leaving the Veterans Hospital and branched to full time practice. And that happened, gratefully within a matter of just a couple of months that I was able to fill up my caseload. Granted, mental health demand is at an all time high right now. And I also took many actions aligned with my vision and purpose and passion. Um, I first networked with multiple psychiatrists at the beginning of this journey, and one of the psychiatrists actually also was very passionate about sleep health, has her own sleep clinic, and she invited me to a women's sleep group, and we ended up putting on an event. But she also introduced me to another sleep specialist outside of this group who was putting on an online sleep summit, and wanted someone to talk to about the intersection of sleep and trauma. I was like, hello, I would love to do that. And I didn't really think of where that might lead. I just thought, hey, right, like I think idea I had was this would be a meaningful challenge for me to put myself out there and do a one-on-one interview, see, to advance my own expertise, because being able to talk about the things that you learn is definitely a way of advancing your expertise and mastery. And I thought, well, and it'll reach a wider audience, and maybe I'll even get a client or two out of it. That was it. And I let go, and then I had fun doing the interview. I did the interview in Joshua Tree, and it was so nice to speak with Audrey, the sleep doctor who interviewed me. And then a few months later is when they actually posted the sleep summit where my interview was, and I did get a client or two out of it, and much to my shock and surprise, I also got a book invitation out of it. Apparently, one of the book editors of New Harbinger Publications, which is a very well-known psychology self-help publisher, and she saw my interview, really liked it, and ended up looking up my website where I had posted some articles, which I had also done toward the end of 2022 because I was like, this would be great. It's creative pursuit. Did it because, like, practically speaking, it's probably good to have that on my website. And it's a fun, meaningful challenge for me to share my wisdom with other people. And so she read my writing samples through my articles and then sent me an email through my website inviting me to publish a book. And when I first saw the email, I like kind of was like, this might be spam. I think I'm just gonna ignore it. And I did for about a week, and then I decided to respond, and she replied back right away asking if we could schedule a phone call that day. So we did, and as I'm talking to her and hearing her how she found me, I was like, oh wow, this is real. This is
Mm,
real. This is happening. I had written on my bucket list quite a long time ago that I wanted to write a book, but I hadn't imagined that it would happen until like my retirement years. Granted, I did retire from the VA technically, so
mhm.
maybe it is my retirement years in a way. Uh, and I couldn't say no to such an opportunity. I think like the universe wants you to write a book and is sending this to you, and then I think that means it's meant to happen. So I said yes, and then the journey with writing the book has been incredibly meaningful. The book is about EMDR therapy for depression that's rooted in trauma specifically, and highlights the importance of acceptance and using things like EMDR therapy, mindfulness, and self compassion as tools on that journey toward acceptance. The universe decided to make sure that I have fully accepted the roots of my depression that I was diagnosed with as a teenager. And it led to some incredibly unexpected, deeper inner child, little Lara work as I started writing the book, which made the chapters in that department all the more raw and meaningful and genuine. So yeah, that's and the journey is still unfolded. The book is officially written, but the next few months are going to be it's editing mode, and then by early next year it should be printed for sale.
Wow, that is incredible. Congratulations on that. I love how you
Thank
keep putting
you.
yourself out there, you keep showing up, opportunities keep meeting you, and I love how you've got this strong desire to give back, mentor others, and really help the profession that you're in to progress, right? I really love how that's happening for you, and
Thank you.
it's very exciting to see you excited about the work that you're doing. I believe that when people are working in their mastery, it's a contagious energy, right? That really starts to emanate out from them, and it's like others catch it too, and there's another spark, right? I love how that happens. So I think I know the answer to this, but I have to ask you, on a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how fulfilled are you in your work right now?
Yeah, you probably guessed that. I would say a 10. It's a pretty solid 10. I feel very lucky that, I really do think that big decisions in life, like your career, your relationship, other big things, really should be an independent decision. And fortunately for me, being a psychologist was a kind of a no-brainer. It was all feeling and feeling good and pursuing a passion. So yeah, I feel in that department quite fulfilled with the one work that I do, the also helping others, using my psychology expertise as a fitness instructor, and helping others through the book I'm writing, and the benefit that that gives me as a challenge mentally and spiritually. I feel in full alignment with my purpose there and my
Wow,
career.
that's incredible. Kudos to you for that. That is
Thank
that is
you.
so amazing. I'm sure that it's inspiring. It's inspiring for me. I'm sure it's inspiring for someone else who's watching as well. So we've got less than 9 minutes left, and I have a few more questions for you before we wrap up. So tell us or describe for us what this journey of discovering your mastery has revealed to you about yourself.
That I'm a nerd for psychology, and that but I think others as well have this innate desire to heal. I think, a big reason, and that psychology drew me in and helping others, was because my mother, who's since passed, she had throat cancer, not because it's genetic, but it was caused by problems with alcohol and an eating disorder that were rooted in unresolved trauma. And that, yeah, I think that there's this just draw to heal myself, to help others heal, to help use my career in meaningful ways that push me to grow personally and professionally. Um, I learned that I'm very stubborn and or persistent, I guess, with things. Um, and that, yeah, that I'm not perfect by any means, and that I am, I write this book from a place because I'm a person who went through EMDR therapy for depression, and of course I've provided it as a clinician.
Hmm.
So felt that, yeah, maybe it was, landed in my lap because I was the person in a really, like, I think, decent position or suitable position to share wisdom and knowledge about it.
That's beautiful. And the book sounds like a perfect bookmark to put your story out there, package it up, and also help other people that are dealing with that as well. That really sounds like it's a work of transformation in progress.
Thank you. Yes, the book is more skills and education, and less of me sharing my story, but I'm sure there will be, and as in other podcasts I'm speaking in, there have been more of a sharing my personal story, which is, yeah, definitely more courageous steps I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking on my journey.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the 4 minutes that we have left, I'd like to do a wrap up here, and I'd like to share what my takeaway was today. My takeaway today is that if someone who is in that process of figuring out that next step, the ideal thing for them to do is to trust their intuition or their gut, whatever it's called, and also to trust the process, like trust the journey itself, right? that's my big takeaway, because I feel like that, and being intentional about it. I feel like when you put all of that together, it does help you to get to the next right place that you want to be in. So that was my takeaway. So tell us where people can find you. Tell us about any upcoming projects or any places where people can meet you. How do you want people to connect with you and your work?
Have started posting a professional TikTok. So the name is at Dr. Lara Barbir. You can find me on there if and where I share more of my insights. I also have a website where I post articles and there's more information about me, and that is transcendent-therapy.com. I am also, of course, on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, Lara Barbier, and there will be more ways to find me as well in the perhaps near future. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
starting with those as I'm increasing my visibility. Maybe we'll have a professional Instagram soon, and potentially like yourself, who yeah, very much a mentor for me and an inspiration, my own YouTube channel. But I will, I'm just taking things one at a time, and
Yes.
because I've got a lot going on. I'm also out of this book, I'm developing a way to help lay people, but I'm also trying to develop a workshop for therapists as well that integrates IPT and EMDR therapy for depression. So that's, yeah, another meaningful project that I am pursuing. Yeah, so I hope to be able to start that at the EMDR conference this year. The book itself, stay tuned for more. That won't be out, of course, until early next year, probably in about a year from now. But I will, of course, be sharing information about that through my various medias.
Yay, Dr. Laura, thank you so much for joining me today. And if you're watching the replay, make sure you give her a follow over on LinkedIn, connect with her, check out her TikTok. I'm going to go check out TikTok too. And I'll drop a link for those once this video is uploaded to YouTube. I'll drop a link for these in the comments. And yeah, thank you so much for your time today, and thanks for sharing with us about your journey. It's been very inspiring. Yes, been very inspiring. Yes.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Thank you for believing in me and trusting, yeah, your inner voice to have me on your podcast.
My pleasure. Yes. I'm learning to do more of that, so you're a good mentor for me in that area. Well, that wraps up our session for today, and I'll talk to everybody soon.